this thing on? Hey, everybody. Yeah, guys, thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Celebrate Billy Anderson. Just make a little bit of noise for Billy if you don't mind. So, I mean, there's so many, every room in this building has a story about Billy, and so I want to read something real quick to get this night started, and y'all have all heard this before because Billy did this 1,000 times, and this is Billy's letter from Gaga. And with that said, it's an important note to say, God bless Gaga, rest in peace. She just recently passed away a few days ago, and so I know Billy loved her dearly, and he loved reading her letter more than anything. So it reads, this is after she came and saw him perform comedy here at Relapse. She says, "Dearest Billy, it was good to see you over the Easter weekend. You have always, in my mind, been a caring person. It did surprise me, however, when you first appeared with that hair. You knew that this would upset me. It shows a spirit of defiance. And defiance is good, provided your defiance will contribute to your well-being. We all need approval from others. Obviously, your hair makes you feel accepted by certain people. Perhaps your new group of friends in the comedy theater. I cannot and refuse to believe that you would want such bohemians in your life. These people aren't going anywhere. They are living in a fantasy world. That is what the comedy world is. It is frivolous and dangerously reckless due to being out at all hours of the night in today's sinful world. I'm sure it's teeming with drug addicts and alcoholics and lowlifes, depending on your location of the event. And this one's especially for Matt Farr. You could be stabbed in such a setting. Your degree in theater will be worthless, in my opinion. You should get a degree in communications or something similar. You, like so many others, will face paying back your student loans once you've graduated. You cannot accomplish this as a stagehand. I'm only being frank with you because I love you so much. And she did. I am a snob. Hopefully not an unchristian one. You must be very discriminatory when it comes to the people whom you choose to associate. Morals, background, education, they're all important. To people of substance, your hair appears unkempt and dirty. Do you realize you look about 17 years old with that haircut? And the girls who like it, run from them if you're smart. You need to be the wonderful person that is within you. Prancing around on stage and making people laugh is not worthy of your mind. All my love, Gaga. P.S. I worry about the pizza. Now, when Billy would read this letter, he would always explain that he was delivering pizzas at the time, and that's why she worried about them. So look, I've printed up 20 copies of this letter. I'd love for you guys to take one home with you. And I tell you, honestly, after reading this letter from Gaga, this is sound advice. Yep. I think it was 100% accurate. So, and then I just want people to come up here and just share stories about Billy. I want to let you guys know So a friend of mine, Travis Dowinger, his brother Josh Dowinger, had a friend named Hugh, and Hugh's father had passed away. And Hugh's father was Billy's AA sponsor, and that's how we met Billy the first time. So he showed up with Hugh, and Josh, and Travis, and I said, hey, we're starting to do comedy here, and that's what we're going to do. And he's like, oh, I love comedy. I'd love to do comedy. And so that was it. We hung out, and we left. And apparently he didn't know that I lived in the building, because at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I came downstairs to get something to drink, and I saw a shadow duck behind a wall. Somebody had broken into the theater. And so I grabbed like the nearest stick and I went after whoever it was. And I was like, I'm gonna intimidate this person more than I'm intimidated right now. So I started yelling. I was like, you better show yourself. And then I'll remember it forever. Billy popped out from behind the corner. He's like, hey man, hey man, hey man. And he literally broke into this theater to stand on this stage. There wasn't a stage here yet, but he just wanted to practice doing stand-up in front of an empty room of people because he didn't know how else to get started at comedy. And that's the true story. And what he didn't know is that we too were breaking into the theater to do comedy. And so it was love at first sight, man. And yeah, maybe I'll jump back up or whatever, but I know other of you have stories of his, and please jump up and share them. His family should be watching from YouTube, so just keep that in mind. And Billy's family, we love you. We're so, yeah, hi Rachel, it's nice to see you. We're so glad. Hey Finley. We loved everybody in this room and more. There's people all over the country watching this video right now, and we just want you guys to know we love you so very much. We're glad you're joining us for this memorial for Billy. So the mic is open for anybody who wants it.
Woo! Let me go up first. Jesus Christ. Thanks, Bob. You're my favorite cult leader of all time. And this place is a cult. It absolutely is. Rachel, hello. Finley, hello. Billy, hello. Thank you guys so much for coming. Billy touched all of us a lot. Yeah, in that way. Loved him to death. Jesus, man, what a love. The first time he doesn't bum a ride. I was very privileged to go to move to New York City with Billy, who took nothing. Not a dime, because the old saying, you know, New York, it's free. So he ended up getting a job working at a youth hostel, which is where he ended up meeting Rachel, who was staying at the hostel. And that's where they fell in love. And it was a privilege to see them do that. He showed up one day with this English girl who I couldn't understand a fucking word she said. And I don't know if any of you have ever gotten a text from Rachel. Just indecipherable. It's some Da Vinci Code bullshit. Love you to death, but Jesus. The language literally comes from your country. It's some just EastEnders. Fucking, anyway, doesn't matter. So one day he shows up with this lovely English girl, and I was like, oh, well, how'd you meet? And they're like, well, met at the youth hostel, and then we went out to dinner and realized the check came and couldn't afford to pay it. And Rachel said, oh, I've got it. And he proposed to her on the spot. Just, I mean, there was no ring in the box, but you know, it's a gesture. That's what that was. Oh man, God damn, what a ridiculous thing. He he was just a manic ball of positivity, wasn't he? Just like you were almost. It was weird. Like if somebody was intimidating coming at you, you're like, I'm gonna fuck you. You'd probably, but he had the same reaction when he was just like, I hope everything goes well for you, and you're like, ah! And just a ridiculous human being who was, and he dedicated his life to making people laugh. He helped people get off drugs and quit drinking and all that stuff, and died at 37. So drink up. Yes, launch it. His whole he just kind of got by on the generosity of others, like our good cult leader Bob Wynn. Matt Wolf is here, right? Yeah. Let me know if I don't want to steal this story. Are you planning on?
No, it's all you. Go.
Are you positive?
Yeah.
Okay. One of my favorite Billy moments of all time. Of all time. So they had this relapse comedy award show. It meant nothing. And it was just fucking circle jerk. And anyhow, so for just as a joke award, Billy got biggest mooch. And he held that title for about 30 seconds until Matt Wolf asked if he could have the award. Fucking genius. Just incredible. And they're like, oh, well, I guess. I don't. But yeah, he, it was so great. So yeah, like a lot of struggling comedians, like he, we've all lived here at some point. I know Anthony has. I have, and he'd crash here. He'd crash at my place, and he kind of died like he lived, just crashing. And no one would have liked that more than Billy, by the way. I love each and every one of you from the depths of my soul. You're wonderful people, and it's been a privilege to know Billy. It's been a privilege to know you. It's been a privilege to perform at the Relapse Theater, and that's kind of all I have to say at the moment. If somebody else would like to come up, please do. Thank you so much for your time. Rachel Finley, I love you so much. Have a great one. Anthony Tadero, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we going to introduce each other every time? I really hope I know the name of the next person who gets up. That's not just extended to people I know. There's some people in here who I've had full conversations with. I don't know your name. Oh, man. We really didn't let Billy's family wade into the water at all. I don't know what we were thinking, letting Matt Farr go first. Oh. Good night, everybody. Man. Billy was just one of the most uniquely positive people I've ever met in my entire life, and it had a really profound effect on me from the time I started doing comedy. I think it's really great that Gaga said that he pranced around on stage, because there's no better way to encapsulate what he did than prancing. It's prancing comedy. That's going to be a style of comedy at some point. I'm a prancer mostly. He, I think the first time I did an open mic here, I knew Bob through doing improv, because I did improv with him at another theater before he started this one, so I have him to blame for most of this. I don't know if Bob is going to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and steal it from him, because that's what I do. And we did a roast for Billy before he moved out of here, and Bob opened it up with this roast, or this event, is a perfect encapsulation of Billy, because it was thrown together last minute. It's costing me money, and I'm gonna have to clean up afterwards. Yeah, they gotta credit Bob Wood for that joke. I'm still riding your coattails, Bob. I got my biggest laugh off of your joke. Like Matt said, Billy lived here, and I lived here. A lot of people lived here. But did any of us really live? Is that? Yeah, my first night spending the night here. I don't think I was allowed to yet. I don't know if I was ever really allowed to. I don't think I cleared that with anyone. But I was in my room. It was my room because I went in there. That's with a lady. Yeah. And then in the morning I woke up and still with the lady, and then I hear from the other room, "Hey dude, you want to get some breakfast?" Like, it sounded like he was right next to me, which made me think there was no sound barrier whatsoever. We went and got some breakfast. But the first open mic that I ever did with Billy, we'll backtrack a little bit. I had a real hard time, I was pretty nervous getting on stage. I wasn't, if anybody knows, if you don't talk to me, I'm just not going to make eye contact with anybody. I'm just going to look at my phone and pretend. And this was back when I had a flip phone. It's not like I was like, what was I looking at? I don't even know if I had text. I was looking at my call history to avoid eye contact with anybody. And Billy came up to me after my set. He didn't say good set because he's not a liar. But he was like, "Hey, dude, so you doing this?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "All right, awesome." And we talked comedy for, I think, 2 hours after that. And I had brought up a sketch comedy show that I liked a lot at the time, Mr. Show, and he had never seen it before. So he invited himself over to my place to watch it. Because I had the DVDs. And and he's like, "You want to get some Chinese food?" And I was like, I'm pretty broke, man. I got food here." He's like, "Oh, that's all right. Well, I got a credit card." It's his dad's credit card. And he didn't have it. He had the number memorized. When the delivery person came over, then we had like a good half hour trying to convince the guy, because they wouldn't take the card. It was just the number. He had to have the card present. And he was like, I don't have it right now, but it's there. I got the security code memorized. It's fine. He eventually just gave up and gave us the Chinese food. And I watched Mr. Show with Billy, and I've never seen anyone enjoy good comedy the way Billy does. If you've ever seen Billy really enjoy comedy, no one takes it in like he does. He loved making people laugh. He loved the art of making people laugh, studying it, watching it, doing it. And I'm going to miss him so much. And I didn't get to see him very much near the end. And I mean, this is probably something that's going to be repeated, and it's very cliche, but reach out to the people you love, man. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night. I could just stay here until somebody else comes. There he goes.
Hey, everybody. God damn it! That's all I can think when I kind of let my mind wander around to the circumstance of it all. Because, yeah, Billy Anderson was like this amazing force of positivity. It's like you could not be around the man and not just feel happiness. And that's what I remember the most about him. He was like, if you could take like all of childhood and bottle it up and just make it like a nonstop, endless source that would just, you know, contaminate everybody in a good way that goes around. That would be Mr. Billy. He's an infectious smile and that amazing laugh that he had. One of the fondest memories I actually have of anything that happened at Relapse was during one of the open mic nights. And one of the most amazing things to me about Billy was how hard he would laugh for other people. It was outstanding. And I think it was Matt Farr that told the joke up on stage, and it broke Billy. He just started laughing hysterically, almost convulsively, up and down, slapping his legs, laughing. He had to leave. He'd walk out that door, I think it was over there, and you could just hear the echoes down the hallway as he rioted like up the stairs. And you know, well, later Matt continued his bit, he's telling jokes, and all of a sudden you hear Billy laughing, growing louder and louder as he'd worked his way around the entire building, down the steps over there. You remember that? Yes, yes. He emerges through the door laughing as hard as he was laughing when he left. And took a seat over there and just kept laughing, and we almost had to call the night. It was awesome. Yeah. I remember that roast too. I think the thing I said about Billy was that he's the only person that can repay you with good feelings. And it was true. He owed me some money, and I never saw that. I think that goes for all of us. Yeah, and driving Billy too. I remember taking Billy to one of his AA meetings and sitting in on it. And it was such a shift for me watching him go from being just absolutely, you know, Billy, laughter, joy, to this very somber, self-reflective person about to talk about his difficulties with addiction. And I mean, it was so moving for me that I almost spontaneously confessed my masturbation addiction. It was ridiculous. I'm sitting there like, because I wanted to have that moment. I wanted to have this moment of confession in front of like 24 alcoholics I'd never seen before, and Billy, but I knew it would come back to haunt me if I did it. I was absolutely sure of it. But Billy's bits, he was courageous when he got up on stage, and he would see things in ways nobody ever did. Vin Diesel and, you know, bum bladders, and throwing racial slurs out there like they were frickin' Oreos. And I have gotten in trouble telling people about that bit. I'll be like, I want you to have the full effect of what this is, so I'm just going to throw it out there. And, you know, people never talk to me again. And I, you know, get threatened on the street and stuff. It's terrible. But, like, that I think was the most important thing that Billy did for me, was just show me that at the end of the day, like, that kind of hate in a person's heart, it's just irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. And honestly, when you get down to it, what's the meaning of the words, you know? And someday, hopefully, a giant chunk of that sort of hatred would pass by just because Billy was able to walk across this stage. And the thought of that makes me happy. All right. And I think that's what I had to say.
Billy was a bad motherfucker. He was. He was. He would experiment on stage. He would roll up in a fucking carpet on stage. I once saw him twist the head off of a baby doll on stage. He would experiment. He would try anything. He knew that to do comedy, you had to acknowledge the fear, but do it anyway, embrace it. In fact, I listened to a podcast I found that he was on like 5 years ago, and he's talking about that very thing. He's giving advice to people. That's what he did. He helped people. He did. He did, yeah. Make some noise for that. He struggled with addiction, then he turned around and got a certification to go help people who struggled with addiction. That's a bad motherfucker. He knew how to make an impression, too. As everybody here has given Billy a ride, everyone here has given Billy a ride. Just like everyone here has avoided giving John Williams a ride. The first time Billy came over to my apartment, I think we had just done a show, and he was just all hyped up. Like, it just, I live on the second floor. It's 3 a.m. He's bouncing like a pogo stick, yelping. I have 2 roommates. It's their first introduction to Billy is a madman hopping around their apartment at 3 a.m. yelping. These guys have real jobs. Yet they weren't mad at him. As soon as they came out, he's like, oh, sorry, man, sorry. He's very sorry, very apologetic. Every time, my roommate, he met Billy like 3 times maybe. Every time I see my old roommate, he says, how's that Billy guy? I love that guy. I love that Billy guy. Because Billy knew how to make an impression on people because he cared. He actually cared. He cared about people. He listened. He had this ability to make everybody feel like you were his best friend. He really did. And he always called. Even if you didn't answer, even if you didn't call back, he always relentlessly called. So, God damn it, Billy, I'm depressed. Okay, but you instantly melt and you say, thank God I answered the fucking phone, because you cannot help but smile when you talk to Billy. You can't help it. Like, you could be having the worst day ever. You could feel miserable, not want to see anybody. Then you show up to relapse. Billy, who's having a worse day, just, well, Frog Pie's taking all the credit for moving the couches. God damn it, Billy. I can't not smile when I see you. It's impossible to not smile when you see Billy. It's unbelievable, his ability to do that. He opened up his soul on stage. He wore his heart on his sleeve like nobody else I ever saw. It's something I really admired about him, because everybody here knows it's not easy to do this shit. It's hard. You make yourself vulnerable. And he comes up here and fucking rolls up on a carpet. He does. He's a madman in a truly inspirational way. And I'm a better person for knowing Billy. Thank you, Billy. Thank you. I'm glad I had a chance to spend time with you. Thank you for calling even when I didn't answer. And thank God I did finally answer. All right, somebody else come up. That's my time, thank you. Who's next?
There's so many stories about Billy. I can't pick one at all. Well, for one thing, He says the N-word a lot, and those are my favorite ones. Those are the best ones, actually. I actually got my mom to say it because of him, and it's my favorite thing in the whole entire world. It just makes me laugh that she can say it. He was great, man. I hated him because every time I was around him, my face would hurt so much from laughing. And I'm just like, fuck you, I gotta leave. I can't take this no more. I want to be depressed for a little bit, you know? And I'm gonna miss him, but I didn't think I was gonna miss him as much, you know? Every time I think about him, it makes me smile and laugh, and makes me appreciate the fact that I'm still here and I can still see you guys, you know? When Noe called me, it didn't hit me real fast, and he was crying and stuff, and I hung up with him, and I was just kind of like, I guess I can't smile like that anymore, you know, because that was a special way he made you smile, just by staring at you, you know. and he will now pull away, you know. He's like, just look at me, just look at me, look, yeah, you know. And it's just like weird random things like that, you know, weird random things like that. The first time I met him, he comes up to me. I just got out of jail, and he's like, hey, I just want to meet you. I heard a lot about you. I can't believe you're a real person, you know. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's like I'm shy, and he's making me like, okay, I kind of feel like a celebrity, you know. Maybe kind of feel good, you know. And then he's like, cool, well, great to meet you. Can't wait to work with you. See you Monday. Hey, by the way, can I get $3 for a pizza? Oh man, but and that was literally the rest of our relationship, you know, him asking for money and making me laugh, and it just came to my mind. I think he was trying to help me out one time. I think he was trying to get me laid, because I brought this girl to Relapse because I know everybody, and that's cool, you know? And we were hitting it off, and I mean, I was going to show her around, you know? And right before I was going to walk her through, Billy comes up, right? And he's like, "Ooh, who's this?" And I was like, "Hey, Billy, this is blank. My wife's right there." And he starts talking me up. He's like, "Oh, this guy's great. He's my favorite guy to work with. He's so funny. He's muscular, you know." And he starts patting my, "Look at that! And he just starts smacking my ass. And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Billy. Yeah." And whew. It just kind of has his hand around my shoulders with his head like just going like this to me, and he looks at me. Hey, can I get $3 for pizza? Yeah. I want to miss him. I want to miss everything he's ever said. And good night, Billy.
This is mostly because I felt like a girl should get up here, because he had friends that were girls too. But yeah, if I can keep my head straight, there's like 3 things that I just want to share, because you guys have covered so much that we all feel. Like, I'm just sitting back there going, yeah, that was exactly how I felt, you know, just like pieces of everything that everybody said. So I have to tell the story about how I first met Billy too. So I was coming up to Relapse, probably for a rehearsal. I don't exactly remember. And I walked through the lobby, and there's Billy, who I did not know, from a bar soap, with like a large like lawn bag, just like sitting beside him. And he walks up and he introduces himself, and kind of like Charles, and he's like, I've heard so much about you, and oh God, you're like a real person, and he's jumping around. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, nice to meet you. And like in the next like 10 minutes, he tells me like everything. Like, he doesn't have a place to live, he doesn't have a car, he doesn't know what he's gonna do next, he should go to an AA meeting, and everything he owned is in this bag. Then he had this big smile on his face and he started laughing. And like many of you, I thought, why is he so goddamn happy? Like, he has nowhere to go and he doesn't give a shit. And like, I will never forget it. All I could think about was, I'm gonna be connected to this person. Like, that doesn't happen very often when you meet somebody for the first time and you're like, yeah, that was Billy, and that was us, and that was the beginning of our friendship. And I don't even understand how he was at Brad's place or Matt's place or with Charles at any other point, because he was at my place all the time. Like, I thought I taxied him everywhere, but apparently we were all collectively sharing that. And I'm so glad that I didn't take it all away from you. And he was at my house so much that Catherine Bowen, sorry, is it Bowen or Bowman? Bowen. She told me this hilarious story shortly after we learned what happened, that Billy also stayed at her place. He actually lived there for a time, and you know, she would try to get him to mow the yard and do things around the house, and she said it was very difficult. And he was also going through a rough time. He was very, as you all know, there were times where Billy was very low, but he always used that on stage, and we've all talked about that authenticity and that vulnerability that you just don't get from comedians or performers that often, but Billy always had that, right? And Catherine said he was in the kitchen one day, finally doing his laundry. Yeah, she was so excited. He went up to the washing machine, you know, and he was getting ready to put his load in, and he's taking all of his clothes out of that bag. And he's putting them in the washer, and she's in the kitchen doing something, and he looks up and he holds a bra up. And he looks at Catherine just deadpan like Billy did. He goes, that's not mine. It was mine. I was thinking, how did Billy, oh yeah, Billy would sometimes put my bras over his clothes. And then he would go to my daughter's closet, who's probably like 10 at the time, and take one of her little shirts out and put and he would just walk around my house. Okay. Who's gonna do that for me? Ever again? And the last thing, and God damn it if I had a hairbrush right now.
Oh, shit.
Do y'all remember that? He did. There was one night he did comedy, and he got up here, and he didn't do any, he just pulled the hairbrush out. And he started combing his hair, and then he just left. I mean, but there was something, There was something about Billy that we've all sort of noted that we admired, and it was his authenticity on stage to just be himself. And there was something else he did that I always take with me. And I don't know if you guys remember, Billy had a series of letters from his grandmother. Yeah, and other family members. And he went through this phase of getting on stage where he just read those letters. And that was his way of coping. He put that shit out there for they were his grandmother, like, Billy, you're ruining your life. I mean, we thought that you were going to do this. And he would just read these letters, and they were very personal. And they were so painful for him because when I did get to talk to him about these just one-on-one, it was a big deal for him to feel like he was a disappointment sometimes to his family. But he took that shit and he turned it into comedy. And that's how he coped. He was so smart like that. I'm going to take my pain and my tragedy and what's embarrassing, and I'm going to roll up in a carpet. I love him so much, and I'm going to miss the shit out of him. And I echo Charles' words. I'm glad you're all here, and I love you all. And let's just continue to support and love each other. And that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Keep it going for Christy. Got a good lineup tonight. I just want to remind everybody to tip their barkeep and stick to your time, okay? Got a lot of comics tonight. So my name is Barry Wright. I used to host an open mic fight club down here. And Bob Wood, of course. This is my favorite fight club. But yeah, it was a little lean back in those days, and we had a lot of comics and not a lot of crowds. So, and I had heard of this Billy guy because you can't help but hear him from him all the time, forever. Omnipresent, I think is what we call it. And as hosts, I'm not really allowed to fraternize with the fellas too much. It's my job to keep all these drunken, irresponsible, man-child assholes on a short leash as best I can. I tried. I really tried. But the chairs would arc, and there was a few rows, and Billy would be over there, stage left, howling like the Joker on nitrous and methamphetamines, jumping out of his seat, slapping his legs, making a lot of noise. And I didn't know what was up with him, but I thought, hey, he's crowd, laughter's infectious. Go with it. But yeah, he was hard to ignore. And he was very intense. I can see that maybe he drank to take the edge off a little. I guess it didn't work out so well. But yeah, you can't ignore his positivity, even I, because I try to ignore a lot of positivity. Takes effort, but you dig deep, you come up with it. But yeah, I guess Billy was very avant. He was trying all sorts of stuff, maybe a little less focused than your typical performer, but extremely entertaining. And the one bit that sticks out that, you can't actually use the words he used in this day and age, but he had a bit that I referred to as N-word and F-word. He would say N-word, you would say F-word. N-word, F-word, N-word, F-word. I say F-word, you say N-word, F-word, N-word, F-word, N-word. And then I would have to get back on stage and go keep it going for Billy Anderson. Fuck am I here? I've got to work in the morning. You know what? Forget it. Moving on, I think. Let's see who's next. What poor, dumb asshole has to follow that horseshit nonsense? Hey, Matt Farr, you coming up? So, everybody. And I would go down the list and, yeah, find somebody. But, right, it was maybe that's what Gaga doesn't fully understand, is the emotional connections you make with people inside a weird trench that comedians find themselves in. But yeah, I think some of us have made it to the other side and are doing at least pretty well, and we found significant to others and some slight bit of happiness. Because... What, too soon? Too soon? Because we don't have our happiness crutch with us anymore to get us over certain humps. We're going to have to make the Billy Anderson inside of us come out. So I'll be selling Adderall in the parking lot after the show. It's 30 milligram. It's good stuff. It's generic, but no, it tastes like orange. You can snort it. It's not time release. I just wanted to say that, yeah, we're going to miss that crazy fucker. And irreplaceable. He will not put his stuff in a box to the left, because he is not replaceable. The poor bastard. But yeah, Irish, live fast, find love, die hard, and yeah, do jokes about disappointing your grandmother. Thank you. Good night.
So, it's going to be a stage hog here. So, there's a couple of really funny moments for me that really define Billy. So, a few of us, Anthony, Noe, a bunch of us went up to his wedding in Charleston, and they had just got married on the beach, went back to the house, having some drinks. They were about to leave in the just got married car, and so I went to the restroom, and he literally just had gotten married, and I went to the restroom and using it, and I looked down, and I was like, that looks just like somebody's wedding ring. And so, within literally about 10 minutes of getting married, he dropped his wedding ring in the toilet, and so, I washed it off, I put it on my hand, and so I went out to him, and I was like, I think I'm married to your wife, dude, and he's like, where'd you find that? And he was like, don't tell her. So I just told him. But I'd say I know, so Billy. But here's what's really touching. Matt and I went out to eat with him the last time that he was in town, and so he was like, hey, come back to my aunt's house, who's back here, and so we went over there, and I tell you. Just the pride that he had in his son, it was really cool. Just a little Billy. I mean, he looks just like him, and he was so happy to show him off to Matt and I, and so we were just sitting there talking in the room upstairs, and he was thirsty, and so he asked his aunt for some water. He said, "Can I have some water?" and because. We're like, oh, wow, Billy's kid's got an accent. And so me and Matt both were started laughing, right? And so his son, I don't know how he was 4 maybe at the time or something like that. So he saw us laughing at him, and he went, water. Did he not? That's true story. And I was like, oh, it's genetic, man. It's genetic. So, I tell you, some of the jokes that I saw him do on this stage here, and he did it into a packed room, but the one that Barry alluded to, the one that, you want to keep your job and your company, so you can't say, but it might have been, in all my years of watching comedy, which is about 22 now, I think that was probably the ballsiest set that I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've seen so many great jokes from so many people, and I've said this not even before Billy's passing, but in my heart of hearts, that's, to me, has always been the funniest joke I have ever seen perform. Now, well, here's the thing, though. I saw Billy, I was following him down the stairs when he came up with that joke. He literally, on those stairs right there, I watched him come up with the joke as I was following him down the stairs, and it stopped him in his tracks. He just, oh, I got it. And I was like, what is it? And then he told it to me, and I was like, I don't know about that, man. I don't really know that that's going to work for you, man. And then so I was in here in the packed room, and then he was doing another set, and then he got real serious, and he said it, and I was like, oh, Jesus, man, what's going to happen? And so I'm not going to repeat it. Yeah, it was crazy. So that reminded me something. I meant to do something, which actually there was a lot of things I had planned to do for this memorial today, and I wasn't able to do them, and they all got messed up. And I was like, well, that's perfect for Billy's memorial, right? But so I was trying to find some trees, and I thought it would be a sweet idea for some of us to plant some trees, to plant a tree. In life, you should always plant a shade tree that you'll never sit under, right? To leave it to the next generation. I totally believe in that. And so I was trying to find some water oak trees. So if you ever get a chance, I think everyone, if you can, find some space to plant the water oak tree. And if you're having trouble finding it, its scientific name is Quercus nigra. So we're going to do that for him. You know what's really crazy is, I tell you, every time Billy called me, I knew what the first thing he was going to say. We knew, for those of y'all that talked on the phone to Billy, you knew how the very first line was going to go. And I know that Finley might be listening to this. And Finley, by the way, don't repeat the things that you heard people saying up on stage tonight. Talk better than us. And but no, so that was my favorite thing of knowing when Billy was going to call, was that I was going to get to, I knew the first 5 minutes of the call was just going to be this bit that we would just do back and forth. And it was without fail, 100% of the time. That's how every conversation started. And it was so funny, and I just swear I can't say any of it. And it was just, not a bit of it. It's not my heart, but it was funny. It's not my heart, but it's funny. And I tell you, and Billy lived here for a while with Rachel. They lived here and got to know my mom, and they became a huge part of our family here. And there was not a moment just hanging out with them. It just always wasn't fun. And the last time I was taking Billy back to the airport, and it was so funny because even though Billy always had bum money, Billy was so proud. He had his own money. He got his stuff right, man. Billy was crushing it, right? He got a degree. He was teaching football. He'd moved on, and I'm so proud. You look at pictures of him doing football and stuff. It's a whole different Billy. It's a Billy maybe we don't even really know, but he really, he had money, his job, and so he was like, no, I got it, man. I'll cover it. And so he was like, you could tell he was the pride of being able to do it himself. And I remember we were driving, and he had like a 20 in his hand, and he said, You want some gas money? And I was like, Billy, everybody wants gas money, man. Everybody wants it. What are you talking about? I was like, Billy, do you want to give me gas money? I think that's probably the best question. And then he stuffed it in the ashtray, and then he looked at it the rest of the trip. It's true. It's a true story. It really happened. You know what I mean? God, there was so many. No, you alluded to it. Y'all remember Frog Pie, and so yeah, I didn't even know, right? Because but they didn't. So Billy would do all this work, like move couches from the balcony and stuff, and was always helped out. And I would come in, and Frog Pie would be like, "Well, I got the couches moved for you." I'm like, thanks, man. I'm like, that's really cool, man. Thanks for helping out. And then I found out later that he didn't do any of that stuff, and it was all Billy. What else? I remember the first times I ever watched him do sets, though, is like if you're a Bill Hicks fan, That was his first few stand-up bits, was literally just doing Bill Hicks jokes. And I remember telling him, I was like, that's cool, man. Like, that is super cool that you can do it like that. Like, you're probably going to need to, like, come up with some of your own, man. You can't just do his the whole time. But, Anthony Jeselnik came out with this album. And I remember just calling Billy up. And I hadn't heard Anthony yet. And Billy told me the whole album. He did. He told me the whole album. And it was amazing. And... yeah, so I'll probably think of some more stories or whatever. But, just, again, to your family out there, to you guys watching, Finley, we love you. Your dad was so freaking cool, man. He's the best. He was the best. Funny man. Genius comic, genius friend. All these people, he touched everybody here. We'll never forget him as long as we live. So to Billy's family, you guys did an amazing job raising just the coolest guy in the world. So, yeah, just let's keep it going.
So, I didn't know Billy as well as a lot of y'all did, because when I first started hanging out here, Billy had moved away for a while. And so I think I got a perspective of, like, the genius of the presence of Billy. Because I'd hang out here and y'all would talk about Billy a lot. And you would bring up, like, his bits. And I would hear y'all talk about his bits. Like, and Billy, he comes out and he, like, brushes his hair. And then y'all go hysterical. And I was like, there's nothing funny about that. They're like, no, but he does this thing where, like, he gets on stage and he talks about Vin Diesel for 10 minutes. And so then when Billy first came, I think I'm the only one who, like, when I met Billy, I was like, wow, I've heard about you. And then I finally saw him do all those bits and I got it. And I laughed my ass off. And I had only known him for like a couple of months maybe, and I talked to him and liked him just like everybody else did. And I went to the College of Charleston, and we had started talking about that for a bit. And then the next thing I know, I was driving him to Charleston. Billy won the Funniest Man in Charleston, South Carolina award because I gave him a ride. I only gave him the one ride, but it was 10 hours round trip. But yeah, man, he was just one of the exuded goodness and joy, and he will be missed. That's all there is to say.
Yeah, I probably don't have nearly the depth of the stories about Billy that y'all do, but you all know to know Billy was to love Billy. Maybe knew him 6 months here in Atlanta after I moved down here before y'all went off to New York. I'm pretty sure that's when Ken Jr. went with you. I'm still sorry. I'm still so sorry. Barry, you drove with him, right? Yeah. I got him off my couch. But, in that very short time, you gotta love Billy. And I don't know how long it was, 6 months, a year later, he calls me up to pick him up from the MARTA station downtown. Or not the MARTA station, the bus station downtown. So when you've only known someone about 6 months and he hits you up months later, I didn't know what I was in for at the time. I'm like parked, like trying to wait it out in like the bail bondsman's parking lot while he gets off a bus. And then shows up with a foreign woman that he claims is his fiance. but I do love Billy, and Billy introduced me to the Dancing Outlaw. Yeah. So forever thankful for that. And not much more than I got a chance to talk to Billy maybe about 8 months ago. I was actually in Ireland for a wedding and desperately trying to link up with him, and unfortunately that fell through because I had all these things to do, and he was working in different parts of the island. But I was able to call him and connect with him one last time, and so thankful for that was able to happen, and speak to him on the phone and just pick up like nothing. Like I hadn't talked to him, in a couple of years probably, but just like nothing. We were able to catch up and talk about our lives like no time had passed. And that's the kind of person Billy was. And Billy would have sacrificed anything to bring anyone up in the slightest way. Anyone. And I think that's why we all love him. I just wanted to say that.
Wow. So much love and light and just so much warm and fuzzies about Billy. I feel like there's so many iconic moments that are like all collective in our memory that we were all there for. Like I remember when rolling out in the carpet. Like I think we were all there that night. But the story I want to tell about Billy is my very first improv scene ever was with Billy in a show. And it was a script in hand. And it was one of those, like, I had only been taking classes for 2 weeks. And then Bob's like, you're doing a show, because that's what he does. So he fucking puts me up on stage. I have no clue what I'm doing. And my scene was a script in hand scene. So I had, these notes from the audience that I was reading. And, Billy was my scene partner. And, I felt like it was one of those nights, and maybe it's because it was, stacked with my friends. And it's like that first show adrenaline, but I was killing it for my first scene. And Billy and I are up there, and this was up back, we didn't even have the basement at that point. This is when we were up in the black box. And then all of a sudden, he takes away my piece of paper. Fucking in the middle of the scene. I have no clue what to do. He fucking just rips it out of my hand and then looks at me. I'm like, I had that moment of just being totally scared, but then he does what Billy always does, and he supported the shit out of me. And seriously, and it's just a memory that just so sticks in my mind because it's so personal for so many reasons. But Billy was just a love, and he loved everybody, and he, and everybody has said it, but as much as hurt and all the things he was going through, he exuded just the superpower of just being a superhuman being. And so I feel so lucky to have known him and cherished him, and it doesn't seem real. None of this seems real. But it's just good to just be with everybody. And we love you, Billy. I know you're here. You're gonna haunt this basement with everybody forever. So.
My name is Karen, and I'm a Billy chauffeur. Isn't that why we're here? Is that what this is? Was that on the invite? I could have sworn. We need to go fund us for gas, but that's okay. But this is Prancer's comedy. This is the Prancers of comedy. Is that why we're here? Billy was a prancer. Yeah, I mean, sometimes he was low, and sometimes it was high, and sometimes it was low, and he was jumping. So that's what he would do. Often. He told us, he was gonna get married, and I always said, And then he said, and I'm going to move to Ireland. And we said, what? And then he said, I'm going to have a kid. And we said, sure. But they're great. Rachel and Finley, hello. Love you guys so much, of course. And then what else? Oh yeah, he told a lot of stories, obviously, and he told me one story. I didn't believe him. I mean, I didn't. But he said that he met this scientist, and they were really, really close. And this guy scientist had a dog, and it was the whole. I mean, I don't know. And then he said, and he's got this car. And I was like, okay. And then he said, no, so I went back in time. And my mom was there. And I was like, Billy, no. And she tried to fuck me. And it was crazy. But I didn't believe him. I don't know how it turned out. Something about lightning. It was really wild. I can't remember all of it. But I don't know. I mean, I don't live here anymore. I live in Tennessee. But I just had a thought that maybe, and I dropped the F-bomb. Shouldn't have done that, probably. Sorry. But I just had an idea. That you guys, there's always a new show in town. And I just thought that a great name for a show would be Carpet Rollers. I just kind of, if somebody invented a new show, that'd be kind of cool. Because it would probably play a lot better than the N-word, F-word, happy clappy hour, or something might go a little better, possibly. But yeah, Billy was special. Billy was unique. Billy was Billy, and there's not going to be another quite like him, and as it should be. So, but love you guys. Thanks everybody for coming, and later on.
So one time, Doug Stanhope was performing here, and it was a very awkward thing. So he was performing right above us here, and I was getting drunk as all fuck over here. That's where the bar used to be, and so I was at the bar by myself, just me and whoever was tending bar. And Billy ran down, and he goes, "Hey Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you have a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." And he goes, "Okay, so there's a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem upstairs, and Doug doesn't. He doesn't feel like I'm big enough." To which I replied, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's some guys. They're filming this show. They on their phones, and Doug does not like that. And so he felt like I was not big enough to handle the situation." And I was like, this is God. I felt like I was being set up. Like, there's no way. And I was like, so what do I have to do? And he was like, you have to go up and deal with it. And by the way, I forgot to mention, Billy was wearing a shirt that said security across the front of it. And I was like, okay, but if I'm not going up there without a security shirt. Like, I'm not gonna be just a guy. You know, and he goes, oh, no problem. Boom, shirt's off like that. It doesn't, of course it's not going to fit, but it was the only security shirt available. So put it down, ran up there, and as soon as I walked in, Stanhope goes, oh yeah, it's the guy, the smaller security guy had to call the bigger security guy. I don't know if there's a guy past him or not. Let's just see where the fuck it goes. And I ended up having to grab 2 cell phones, throw them down, and stomp the shit out of them. It was some dumb rich kids. Their dads will buy them more. Anyhow, that was just a memory that popped in my head while no one had the balls to get up here.
So Finley, this will answer a lot of questions for you when you're older in life. So I saw back when I was online. I don't know if y'all heard about it. You know, Finley had rolled off the bed. Did anybody hear about that? When he hurt his head, like he had to go to the hospital and stuff. And so Billy had let us all know that he got hurt. He had rolled off the bed. And I've been a dad for a quarter of a century. I've got 4 kids, and I was like, wow, Finley's really young to be rolling over on his own. And so I was like, I knew something was up, and I called him up, and I was like, hey, Billy, you might want to take that down. People, I know your son didn't roll off the bed. Let me just go ahead and start by saying, I know your son didn't roll. Babies can't do that yet. And Billy goes, oh my God, Bob, I set him up on the pillow, and yeah, I know. He had set him up. So Finley, if you ever wonder, so he set you up on a pillow, and you didn't roll over, you leaned over and fell head first onto the floor off the bed. Now, for those of y'all that have kids, you're gonna drop your kid on their head. It happens. It's a thing. It happens, especially to young parents. You will drop your kids once or twice in their lives or whatever. But he was like, what was funny about it is that I caught him, and I was like, you've got to take that down, man. You got to take that down. No one's like, only people that don't have kids are gonna believe that. But regular adults and parents and stuff they're gonna think something's weird, man. Like a newborn doesn't roll. And so I find it so uncanny though. I was looking at these photos or whatever, and boy, Finley looks just like his dad, doesn't he? He sure does, man. And I wanted this to be more than just us telling stories about Billy. He said he just turned 6. And so I wanted to create something. I want to, thank you, Action Show Studios, for coming out and filming this for us and live streaming it so that the family could see it. We really do appreciate you, Sean Bokelman back there running the camera for you guys tonight. For sure. Thank you so much, man. But this is, I wanted this also to be for Finley because, he's 6. And what do you know when you're 6? That's got to be pretty tough to lose your dad. It's completely changes his life from here going forward. Just a small car accident and the rest of your life is completely different. And so this isn't a video for Finley today, right? It's definitely not a video for Finley today. And, I tell you what, I did go to the service. Matt and I went to the service in Charleston, and his best friend got up and did a 45-minute eulogy, and it was quite possibly the most beautiful eulogy, and he had known Billy since he was a little kid. And the stories that he told about Billy from he was little, he was saying that there was this kid, and became one of his best friends, his childhood friends, that no one was talking to him, and he was kind of shy. And he said, Billy, out of all the kids in the school, Billy was the one who came up and said, hey, do you want to go play some games or whatever? And the guy giving the eulogy said it changed his life for forever. And wasn't it beautiful? Teared up. Yeah, it made us cry. It was beautiful. And You know, it was a beautiful service at the church, and you know, y'all might not know Billy was a guy of faith. You know, Billy believed in the Lord, and yeah, for sure, and which gives me solace because I do too, and so I'm glad to, you know, I think I know where he's at, and I'm sure he is, and but so this video isn't just for Finley now. This is a video for Finley, you know, when he's 26 and 20 years from now. I want him to be able to look back and see all these people who his dad impacted our lives, and he certainly did that. And so, yeah, so Finley, we love you, man. That's the whole point that I thought. That's why I wanted it filmed. I just want him to know that how freaking cool he was. You know, you said the thing about the hairbrush. Listen, but I saw when I was watching the videos at Charleston, there was one of them here on this display as well too. But there's all these videos of Billy with his belly out. Do y'all remember that when he would ask? He's like, "Is your baby Billy getting big? Is your baby Billy getting big?" It's so funny. And so there was like 30 photographs of Billy with his belly out doing that. And every time I saw it, me and Matt were laughing because we knew exactly what he was saying in the picture, and how funny it was. Yeah. You know, a joke that came up to my mind when we were sitting back there was he was talking about he lived down by the Fulton County prison, right? The state prison or the federal prison, and he was talking about all the crack whores out there and how they would always hit him up every time he would walk outside his house. And well, I don't know if I should anyway, but yeah, it's the pumpkin. Yeah. So it's just the idea of someone throwing a softball through a soggy, rotten pumpkin, and if that builds a picture for you of where the joke was going. It's quite vile and hilarious at the same time. Yeah, I want to tell so many of his jokes. I really do. Literally, I feel like I'd lose my company if I did. I really did. It's a different world we live in now, guys. It's a different world. And but you know what? I tell you, just seeing his family and seeing his sisters, from where he grew up. I mean, there was just tons of people. They packed out a church, and you could just everyone who he ever came in touch with, man. He was definitely. That was the thought when I heard he passed. Was that it was actually Rory Scovel who called me and told me that he had passed away, and so Rory did a bunch of shows in Ireland, and so every time he would do a show in Ireland, Billy would call me up and. He's like, "Hey, man, how can I get in?" You know, and whatever he did, and just wanted to hang out with them. And so they became friends in Ireland, which is pretty cool. And so he was the one who had called me and told me that he had passed. And it really did feel like that the world became a little dimmer and a little darker. So I'm glad we're doing this because I want to keep that light alive, man. What a great guy. I just want to keep it alive for his family. So, I mean, we're just going to leave it open for any more stories. I know you can think of some. Yeah, man, God bless Billy. God bless his family. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through it. I'm Pam, Bob's mom. I don't know Miss Annie and Annie. I won't make it through. As you know, Billy lived here, and so did I, and Robert, and Rachel lived here. And they used to come up through the back stairs because we lived up high. And in the mornings, and we would have our little get together. And Billy and I would spend time just talking. And hi, Rachel. Well, I'm doing what all you wouldn't do. See, age allows you to do that. When people look at them, they go, she's old, it's okay, you know. And you know why Bob went into comedy. Rachel came up and painted a picture of Robert. And so she was really into art. And her and Robert, which is Bob's other son, would have a great time doing art. And Billy would come up. Well, my mother was an alcoholic and had been in AA for a long time, and my brother was a drug addict, and he'd been in AA and NA for a long time. And so I had an idea of where Billy was coming from, having been raised by drugs. And so Billy and I would share, you know, what he was going through and what I went through as a teenager and a young person. And we really had a great time. And Billy, just like everybody said, was that tender heart. You saw him as a comedian, and I saw him as the guy that lived here. And well, I didn't mean it quite that way, but see, what you didn't understand is we also had the bathroom upstairs. So that's where they would shower. So he was the guy and his wife that lived here, and they would do their showers and their cooking, and it was an awesome time. And he is going to be missed. And oh, excuse me. And Rachel, you were so good for him. You really did. You always encouraged him. You always had his back. You were a mom to him when he needed a mom. And sometimes that's what it took, being an ex-wife, me. I know what it's like sometimes, but and with Finley, you're an awesome mom. I follow you on Facebook, so I know how things are going. I hope he doesn't get shook up about the chicken, the other chicken, but I hope he has fun raising the chickens and enjoying the eggs. If y'all don't follow Rachel, she's raising chickens. So just so you know that Rachel has this interesting life up there in Ireland too. But Billy is really going to be missed. He had a tender heart. That person that wasn't up here had even more of a tender heart. And I'm going to miss our old room buddy. But we don't live here anymore, so we're good.
You know, you know what? We'll leave the mic open, but we can eat, we can drink, we can just socialize and have fun. You know, do y'all remember Chris Landry? Yes. Yeah. So Chris Landry was a super cool kid who passed away many years ago, and we also did his memorial here. And I just remember Matt sang us a song. What's up, Jared? Good to see you, buddy. And yeah, give it over Jared. And you know, I always thought it was touching. I thought it was touching that we did that, and I thought maybe we could do it again. Not to try to steal Chris Landry's thing, but who knows? See if I can get this to work here. I'm sorry, one second.
Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail.
Just wait for a second, and the part kicks in. I don't know why I got the
up by its tail, and your third fiance didn't show. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
All right, good. Love you guys. I love all of y'all. We'll leave the mic open. No one has to jump up if you don't want to, but we'll leave the mic open. Anytime you feel like a story pops up in your head or something you want to share, we're going to keep the camera rolling until 10. So,
I would love to, but your mom killed it.
So, like anybody but Matt that wants to get up here, yeah, do.
Okay. My name's Trey Duke, and I was one of Billy's friends, like in 2006 or something. I loved Billy. He was really a good stand-up comic, and he was always happy. You know, like on the open mics, everybody could have a good or a bad set, but like Billy's energy was always going to make his set memorable and worth seeing. And I don't know, his vibe was past his material, you know, it was always there, and that's how he was in real life. He was super happy and funny, and everybody liked being around him. And just want to say I really loved Billy Anderson. He was a great guy.
Cool, man. Yeah, that'll be great. I'll cut that.
Why just do it like this?
I'm not doing much. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I think I heard of that.